Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome into Attacking Third. Huge show planned for you today because UEFA Women's Champions League semifinals are around the corner. They're taking place this weekend, so we're previewing all of it. Plus NWSL Week 5 action, a look ahead, and the questions. They keep on coming and they don't stop coming. So we've got an A3 mailbag for you to answer all the questions that you have for Attacking Third crew. Thanks for hanging with us. If you're watching on Golazo Network on YouTube, it's a reminder, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern and following NWSL weekend action. And if you're listening as a pod, anywhere you get your podcasts. Alongside Darian Jenkins and Jen Beattie, I'm Lisa Carlin. Good morning, ladies. How are you, Jen? What's up?
Good morning. I'm excited for the show today. It's going to be a fun one.
Oh, well,
yeah, this is our first time, all of us together. I've never worked with Jen before.
No, let's do it.
I know, I'm loving
this. Do you have any questions for her, Darian? Do you guys want to get to know each other a little?
Yeah, like what type of movies do you like to watch? Like it's a first date or something? No, we're just gonna get to know each other.
Yeah, we'll go straight into the football. Rom-com. Just so you know, rom-coms, we'll get straight into the football.
Okay, real question. What's your favorite soccer movie?
Ooh.
Oh, this is a hard question.
Wait, the one with the Amanda Bite, is it?
Yes, Jen,
one?
that is the correct answer. We're compatible.
Yeah. Wait, what's that called?
She's the Man.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Okay, well, now that we've had that established, we'll get together. We'll have a watch party. Watch She's the Man. Guys, if you're with us live on YouTube, thanks for hanging. Like this video, subscribe. Let us know your favorite soccer movie in the chat. We'll read them. We'll let you know what's up. Big weekend ahead because the UEFA Women's Champions League semifinals are set for leg one. It takes place this weekend. Arsenal against Lyon on Saturday, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then reigning champs Barcelona will take on Chelsea. That match happening Sunday. Let's dive into Arsenal against Lyon. It's leg one happening on Saturday. Arsenal's at home. It's the 8th meeting between these two sides. However, French giants Lyon, they've dominated the series meeting. 5 wins, 1 draw, and just 1 win to Arsenal. It's not a surprise, though, considering Lyon has won the Champions League a record 8 times. Now, Arsenal has won the Champions League, but that was back in 2007. But this could potentially be the year that Arsenal does it again. They are in top form. They're second in the Barclays WSL. They're just 3 points off the leaders Chelsea. They defeated Real Madrid 3-2 on aggregate in the quarterfinal, and they're coming off of a 5-1 defeat over Leicester, which is their 5th win in just 6 matches. Now, Jen, our very own Jen Beattie, you were part of this Arsenal team that is an absolute Gunners legend in and of yourself. Knowing that you've played in Champions League, you've been in some of these big matches for them. What is it going to take this year for Arsenal to beat Lyon?
That's the big question, right? But these games are so fun, first and foremost, to get to semi-finals, especially in the manner they did it, coming back from 2-0 down against Real Madrid, going and winning 3-0 at home at the Emirates. This is their fortress. I'm so happy that the first leg is at the Emirates so they can get off to hopefully what will be a flyer. But I think it's so interesting based on, they struggled in the league at the start of the season. So if they, fast forward, had felt that tough start against Jonas Eidevall, started the season struggling, to fast forward to now to be in semi-finals of the Champions League against Lyon. You said it yourself. They've won it so many times, and I've loved watching Lyon as well. I will say Demorne has been, unbelievable for Lyon. Chawinga as well. So for me, if they're going to do it, they have to stop those 2 players. They're going to sacrifice a little bit of possession, as always, against these top teams, but they have to stop them. The counter-attacks are going to be huge for them, but I honestly think if they can get a good result at home at the Emirates on Saturday, they put themselves in a great position for the away leg.
I wonder, what do you guys think is a good enough cushion for Arsenal to score at home to then go play Lyon at home in the second leg? Because I'm looking at both of these English sides, and I'm like, okay, they overcame the aggregate. They scored a ton of goals, but it's Lyon. What's the good cushion where we can feel confident going into the second leg?
You know what? That is an awesome question, because you said it yourself that they both came back from 2-0 aggregates, right? So I would have said before the quarterfinals, I would have said 2-0 is a good cushion. now coming after those ones, I'm like, you need 3-4 to really put yourself in a really good position, especially going away from home. Lyon is a tough place to go.
I would say 4 in order to feel like, okay, we are okay right now. Like the ball is in our court. Anything less than that for Arsenal, it's going to be really tough for them. But because right now with Arsenal, they have struggled with clinical and being efficient in front of goal and scoring their goals. Even you take their game at the weekend, yes, they won 5-1 at Leicester or against Leicester, but it could have been 8 goals for Arsenal. It could have been 9 goals for them against Real Madrid when they lost 2-0. Remember that game? It was terrible conditions. It was wet. It was slodgy field. It was terrible. But Arsenal had 13 shots and only 1 on target, 0 goals to show for it. Whereas Real Madrid were so much more clinical. They had 5 shots, 3 on target, and 2 of them found the back of the net. So for Arsenal, I mean, that question specifically, Darian, I would say 4 goals because they struggle with their efficiency in front of net. They create chances and they have a good variety of attack that they can do, but their small movements in front of goal, they struggle. And Lyon, it puts those away. That's a big difference.
No, I agree. I think 4 is a sweet spot. You can let Shawinga, Diani, De Monet all get goals and still be okay. Because to be frank, I don't know how you shut down everybody on Lyon's attack. Even looking at their bench in the attack, it's scary. And I wonder if Arsenal, how they're going to approach this tactically with shutting them down, especially on the counter. Because on the other side, Lyon leaves themselves very vulnerable on the counter as well. Very, very vulnerable. You have Carpenter going up on the one side and Basha on the other side. So I think it's going to be actually fairly open. I want it to be a high-scoring game, but I do think if Arsenal is going to advance, they have to put some away in this first leg.
Yeah, I think what's massive on that as well is Chloe Kelly's been a bit of a doubt lately. Alessia Russo's had some injury woes coming about off the back of the international break as well. And for me, it's getting those players fully fit coming into this leg as well that's going to be massive. So fingers crossed.
Lyon does wear teams down, and they are at the top of their French league right now. They're undefeated domestically. To make it all the way to the semifinal, they defeated Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal 6-1 on aggregate. I mean, they score goals. Their counter press is also very impressive. Like Diani and her pressure, what she does off the ball, the engine that Dumornay, Shawinga has, continuous attack, continuous possession. But being at the Emirates, would you say, Jen, that Arsenal has the upper hand over Lyon?
Honestly, I think this is a pretty even game. What I love about Lyon lately, though, is, you know, in their true prime, right? Where Lyon, like what you're saying, won 8 Champions League titles. They were possession. They dominated the ball. Now I feel like they've adapted their game a little bit. They're going a little bit longer, more plays. Watching those Bayern Munich games, I've never seen Wendy Renard play more longer balls in my entire life than I did over those 2 legs. So that's what I feel Arsenal just need to be a bit more of aware of going into this game. They've got so much speed off attack. And Darian, you summed it up perfectly. Those players coming off the bench blew my mind. You're talking about Ada Hegerberg, top goal scorer for them. She's on the bench. You know, she's not being playing consistently. So to have a player like that come off the bench. So this isn't, you know, a 60-minute game, a 90-minute game. This is over 2 legs. And you have to be aware of everyone coming off the bench. Le Sommer, so much experience. Marjorie, I could name player after player in this Lyon side that have so much depth. It's insane. So for me, it's being aware of this 90-minute game over minute by minute, how much they can change, but being aware that they will dominate possession, but they will go long and play and, you know, look to exploit you in behind. So it's being aware, and that's one of the most mentally challenging games that I think Arsenal will have this season.
How do they mentally approach this game if it is going to be so challenging?
I think they would have learned a lot from Real Madrid, I'll be honest. I think, and also they've had tough moments this season. They lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup from just overplaying in certain areas, but I think they'll feel way more comfortable at the Emirates, ball on the ground, playing their style, their football. And I honestly think they'll have learned a lot from losing to Real Madrid away from home, right? You know, overplaying in certain areas, those laxes of concentration. Hopefully it's a perfect night and a perfect pitch as well. Obviously that the weather was so difficult in Madrid, you know, it kind of changed the game, and made you make weird decisions on the pitch, but they'll be prepared for that. They've been in this situation multiple times, and they know the occasion of this game. And I think as long as they look after that and know that the home fans will be behind them so much, I think is probably the best part. But I think for me, it's concentration throughout this 90 minutes.
Well, hopefully it's a good night there. You'll be there, right? Bringing the good vibes on the pitch, Jen. Excited to hear about all the adventures once you come back on A3 after you're at this game. So have so much fun.
I can't wait. Honestly, it'll be my first game at the Emirates, I think, since I've left the club. So, it's a semi-final, and the occasion of it. I can't wait.
Going to be a lot of emotions, I'm sure, coming back for you.
Yeah, but great ones. Like, I feel, I have so many friends there, so many, I pretty much live at Kim Little's house as well when I go back to London. I don't know if I should say that on the podcast, but they're my best mates. So to go and see them perform and do really well on, the biggest stage in European club football is a great feeling.
A lot of awesome players to watch in this match. Let's give me yours, Darian. One or two from each side, Arsenal, Lyon. Who should we keep an eye out for in this game?
For Lyon, obvious answer. I think all of us probably have her as our player to watch, Melchi Demone. I mean, she's been fantastic for this side. She's only 21 years old, y'all. 21. Ooh. I don't know what the hell is going on with the youth. I want whatever they're being fed when they're kids, because god damn. But her playing in the 10 role up top, wherever she is, she's become so effective for the side. She's a true playmaker. Although she's smaller in stature, she is a battler in the middle of the pitch. She wins most of her duels. She plays a positive pass forward. She gets in the box. That's a player that we really need to keep our eye on, that I think is going to be key for Lyon, because I think if you can unlock her and give her that creative freedom that she has with Lyon, I don't know if Arsenal are going to be able to shut her down, let alone the other attacking powers that they have.
Jen, who are you watching for?
To add on to that, it's the partnership between her and Lindsay Heaps for me was a game changer at the Bayern Munich game. Darian, you're spot on. Whether she's stretching the game in behind the Mornay or dropping in, I feel like they're the perfect combination, her and Lindsay Heaps, where it's link-up play or dragging Arsenal defenders left, right, and centre. So those two players, I think, were so key against Bayern Munich, and they're, again, going to be huge for Lyon this weekend.
I'm watching the Americans too. I think it's so fun, right? When we've got Lindsay Heaps for Lyon, Emily Fox, and Jenna Neiswanger, can't forget her, for Arsenal. This doesn't happen a lot for U.S. women's national team fans, to have two players competing against each other in one of the greatest competitions in Europe. Lindsay Heaps was asked about this recently, and she said that last camp she was giving Emily Fox as much crap as she possibly could, trying to chip at her a little bit. Said that they're not going to speak before the game, maybe just like a little head nod in the tunnel, but that's it. At camp with the U.S., it was like all over each other, and now before this game, it's just that all seriousness. And you've talked to that, Jen, and you, Darian, as well, like playing with someone on one team and then going against them. I think Jen mentioned it about Erin Cuthbert, right? Playing with her for country, but then against her at the weekend. I mean, how much chatter would you have had before the game with friends turned opponents before a match?
The Scot in me absolutely loved the banter before a game. Yeah, especially exactly what you're saying. If you've just come off the back of an international, which, normally at crunch time of the season, this is exactly what happens. Off the back of an April window, you come into semi-finals, FA Cup finals, big games, crunch games. Of course, the league ones are important as well, but no, I loved it. Whether it was Ellen Cuthbert or Claire Emsley or Caroline Weir or any of these Scottish internationalists that were playing for big clubs that you're going to play against at the week, I loved it. Yeah, 100%. I'd be giving people a little nod in the tunnel, but then it would be focused on the game, of course.
I want to learn some of this Scott trash talk. I bet it's so much superior than American trash talk. I can only imagine.
No, I felt like American trash talk was elite. Scottish banter was probably it was too friendly. Like in the tunnel to Erin, I'd just be like, "All right, wee man," and that would be it. See on the finish, like it'd be so. I feel like American trash talk was pretty elite.
Darian, what would you say? What would your trash talk be in the tunnel?
Oh God, I'm not a trash talker. I was never one to do that. I would go up and hug and dance. Like that's not my game. Yeah.
So it sounds like the Scots already have a leg ahead.
Yeah, they've already got the leg up. I'd be like this.
You guys want to do winner predictions for this one? Lyon Arsenal, leg 1. What are you thinking, Jen?
You know what? If they get a 4-0 lead, like what we're talking about in that cushion, absolutely huge. I'd love a win at any and a clean sheet. I'm going to get a 2-0 cushion for Arsenal.
Oh.
My prediction.
I believe there's going to be. I like that. I believe there's going to be 4 goals, though. I don't think Arsenal's going to get the win. I think we're going to end in a 2-2. I think these teams are going to be testing each other out. It's going to be open. Arsenal's at home. You want to be on the front foot and attack. I think Caldente is maybe going to score. She's won this with Barca 3 times. That's my player to watch for Arsenal. But I just Lyon's firepower. I don't think you can stop it. So I'm going 2-2 in the first leg.
I'm going to give Arsenal the win in leg 1, 2-1. It's going to be narrow. It's going to be tight for them. Lyon's coming off a lot of rotation. They had a draw at the weekend domestically, and they had a lot of rotation for those players. So it's going to give them a little bit, but Arsenal wants this so bad. They're at home. So I'm going to give them the upper hand, but it's not going to be the 4-0 cushion that they want heading into leg 2.
I love that we settled on 4 goals.
I love that. I mean, the chaos. The more chaos, the better. So that game is Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Sunday, we have our other semifinal matchup. It is Barcelona against Chelsea, leg 1, Sunday at 12 noon Eastern. Barcelona is at home, and man, these sides are familiar foes. It will be the 3rd time that Barcelona and Chelsea are meeting in the Champions League semifinals. 3rd time. It's the 5th time all across all competitions that they're meeting. Barcelona, they take the advantage with 3 wins, 2 of those coming in the semifinal meeting, 1 draw, and then Chelsea picking up just 1 win. For Chelsea, this is the trophy that has eluded this club under Emma Hayes, but now under Sonia Bonpastor, it's a change for them. However, for Barcelona, they've won it 3 times in the last 4 years, including the last 2 campaigns. This seems, Darian, like it is Barcelona's trophy to lose. What is it going to take for Barcelona to three-peat?
They just have to be Barcelona. They have to be really great in the attack, which we know that they are, clinical, we know that they are, but they are vulnerable in the back. That is where Chelsea can hurt them, and that's where Barcelona needs to tighten up. I think they get so confident. I mean, who wouldn't if you were playing on that team? You have majority of possession, you're enjoying the ball, you're playing beautiful football, watching Carolyn Graham Hansen cook on the side, you're scoring goals. It leaves you so open in the back, though. Everybody on Barcelona goes forward. So I think for Chelsea, those transition moments are going to be huge on either side of the center backs. Those channels are going to be wide open. If you can get on the counter quickly and go at them, which we know that Chelsea can. They have Mayra Ramirez up top. They have Erin Cuthbert, who commands the middle of the pitch, who I think can cause some big tackles, disrupt that Barcelona pace, and really frustrate them. We see those Barcelona players get in their heads, to me, and it kind of kills their spirit when they're met with a lot of physicality and they're not able to be super clean on the ball. And I think Chelsea can provide that. It's just going to be a matter of Chelsea being very, very clinical when they are in front of Barca's goal, because I do think Barcelona is just going to dominate possession.
Jen, what are you looking at for this Barcelona side specifically? I mean, they're coming off of another game in league where they had a lot of rotation. They've been without Mapi Lyon. Guys, she was suspended for the last 2 Liga FA matches due to unsportsmanlike conduct with the Espanyol opponent, Daniela Caracuz. But that match was back in February. So Mapi Lyon is back in with this Barcelona group. That has to give a lift to them as well, Jen.
For sure. And we talk about rotation. Rotation with the top teams is really common, right? You talk about wealth of depth that these teams have, and Lyon are the exact same. It always kind of does blow my mind a little bit how these teams can dominate domestically so much and, you know, kind of, if I can say it, kind of stroll their league, right? And then the step up to Champions League is huge, but somehow they can do it every single year. But this Barcelona team specifically, I think Mapi Lyon coming in, I love watching her play. Like, what a ball player coming out the back and really starts to play for every single Barcelona attack from the back. But no, I think, Darian, again, you're spot on. I think Chelsea will be okay with not having as much possession, knowing that they have players like whoever's on the pitch, whether it's Ramirez, Lauren James, that can go on and change an attack and change the pace of a game, whether sitting in that lower block, ready to go on create the space in behind the Barcelona, because that is where they're vulnerable. Two players that are going to be so key for that, ex-Barcelona players, Kira Walsh, Lucy Bronze, that have just come from there, so know exactly what the vulnerabilities of this Barcelona team can be. And they'll be filling that dressing room with confidence. They'll be thinking, they're just players. We can go on and do a job. So I think an all-English final, I think, is what the current narrative is back home in the UK. And I've no doubt those two players I just mentioned, Bronzy, Walsh, they've gone to Chelsea to go and win the Champions League. They've just been there, done it with Barcelona, and they know what it takes to go and beat this side. Can they do it? That is the question. But I think the matchup for me that's going to be so important, I've spoken about it already a couple of times, Erin Cuthbert versus Bon Mati. Can you keep her quiet? I think Erin Cuthbert has been unbelievable for Chelsea this season, going on strength to strength. She's a little workhorse in that midfield, and you have to keep players like Bon Mati quiet because we all know how world-class she is and what she can do on a football pitch. So that matchup for me. And of course, Millie Bright, centre-back. She's so comfortable in that position in a low block. She'll be clearing balls left, right, and centre. Can she communicate? Can she command her back line to kind of keep all the distances tight, not letting anything central? But those matchups for me are going to be huge at the weekend.
I love that. Erin Cuthbert's one of those players where I'm like, I wish I got to play with her because the way she tackles, like her intensity she plays with, she's kind of like the unsung hero to me for Chelsea because she doesn't always do the flashiest things, but she does the most important things on the pitch constantly. And she gets in those tackles, she sets the tone, and I feel like that riles Chelsea. That gives them the energy to go forward. But Lisa, I wanted to ask you, where do you think, well, both of you, where on the pitch is this game going to be won and lost for either of these teams?
In the midfield for me, who can control that space centrally, really put their foot on the ball, control the tempo of the game, understand when to move a little bit, especially for Chelsea, right? If they can pull Barcelona out and move quickly in transition, getting behind, it might even kickstart in the back at times with a player like Sandy Baltimore for Chelsea. She's one that is almost a lower radar player, but a role player and a very important one in this game, that if she can have a little bit of creativity and kickstart it, but in the midfield for me, hands down, if you can win those battles, it's going to be a game changer. What did you think, Jen?
I think counterattacks for Chelsea. So I'm talking about the fast pace. That's not an area of the field. Of course, I think midfield's key. But I think if we're talking about, I'd love to talk about a phase of play that I think for Chelsea, counterattacks. When they win the ball back, what can they do with it? Because they might not have the ball for long spells. So those short moments, what can they do? Can they retain it, or can they go and attack and exploit the space in behind for Barcelona? For Barcelona, it's going to be another day at the office with dominating the ball in that sense. Yeah. And for them, it's can I get the best players on the ball? Can I get Pates on the ball? Can I get Bon Mati on the ball? Can I, can I drag out those Chelsea centre backs? Can I create space in and around the box for opportunities? So for them, it's going to be another tactical challenge that they face a lot in Champions League when they come up against teams that are more defensively solid. So can the forwards drag out Chelsea centre backs? That's going to be the most important thing for them.
This game
sorry, Lisa. I have to give some love to Johnny Epwan in our comments because he put, we were talking about Erin Cuthbert being that player that gets into tackles. He put, love McCall tackles, yes. Which that makes so much sense because McCall is one of those players too that you're like, oh shit. Okay, we're going to war. Erin Cuthbert gives that. Shout out to our girl McCall. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that shout. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Dee, for pointing it out. This game, I'm so excited for. I'm so ready for Chelsea Barcelona. I mean, this is for Sonia Bonpastor, her first year leading Chelsea. She's won it as a player. She's won the Champions League as a manager. The next step is winning it for Chelsea and with Chelsea. But before we can even get there, they have to get past Barcelona, and it is going to be a big, tall task for them.
One of the biggest things as well, just to talk about Chelsea a little bit more, is they have this wild way of not necessarily playing the most beautiful football, but winning games. And we've seen that so much in the WSL this season. FA Cup against Liverpool, perfect example. There's extra time goals. They will go down to the wire. And if they're not playing the best football, they find a way to win. And I feel like this game against Barcelona might be similar again. They might not have the opportunities to play the most beautiful football, but they can go out and win the game.
Can they do it dirty? Can Chelsea beat, grind, and get it done?
1,000,000% yes.
A lot of injuries that Chelsea's been dealing with over the last couple of weeks. Lauren James came back from the international break with a thigh injury or a hamstring injury. So she was out at the weekend. As of right now, we're doing this episode Thursday morning. We don't have an injury update on her, but last we heard from Bon Pastor is that James rested at the weekend. She was hopefully going to be back. They're going to medically evaluate her heading into this game. Also, Naomi Girma, she was out last week as well. I mean, she's been out for a while, but latest update coming from last week is that they hoped she would be available for the Barcelona match. So a lot to look forward to for every single fan just of women's football, because man, Chelsea Barcelona is a game. And we can't close this episode and this segment out without game predictions for leg one. You knew it was coming, Darian. Don't give
I know.
me
Go
the
to
eye
Jen
roll.
first. Go to Jen first.
Ooh, we're not gonna get a four-goal thriller again, guys. Like,
Yeah.
I think this game will be much tighter. I'm gonna go 1-1. Tighter game.
I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
Nice.
I'm going to go 1-0 Barcelona.
Okay.
I think Chelsea's
Close
going to do it.
games. Close games.
Till the second leg, maybe. We'll see.
Mhm.
This game, Barcelona-Chelsea, it is on Sunday at noon. Champions League semifinal action is taking place this weekend. Jen will be at the Arsenal game. Excited to hear all about the experience when you come back on A3. Break it all down for us. I can't wait. It's not just Champions League, guys. We've got NWSL Week 5 action. So we're talking all about it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more A3. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. Breaking news dropping this morning in NWSL. Angel City FC have hired former Bayern Munich manager Alexander Straus. Huge news happening right now. They have been sitting with Sam Lady as their interim head coach since the start of the season. They did make an announcement saying that they wouldn't have a head coach until at least June, which gave a lot of indicators that it was a coach coming over from Europe, Darian. And now we have news that it is Alexander Straus from Bayern Munich.
Yeah, this is huge. Although very bittersweet, Sam Lady was crushing it as Angel City's head coach, interim head coach. I think he's done a fantastic job. He's injected confidence into this group of players. He's given these rookies confidence. They're getting results. He's getting the best out of an Alyssa Thompson and a Claire Emsley we haven't seen in so long. So I love this. I haven't had a chance to read in depth about it yet, but I hope Sam is still really involved. He gets to work with the attackers. That's his bread and butter. This is a big move, though. More European coaches coming to coach in the NWSL. It's a great move for Angel City, somebody decorated that's been successful with Bayern Munich. I think this is the move that they needed to become a real serious contender in the NWSL moving forward.
It's an interesting one for sure. I think, Bayern Munich have been so dominant in the German league, and but I think the fact that they said they'd wait until summer to announce, and they've done it now, just shows that how much they were impressed by him and how much that they think he's a really good fit. So I think it's credit to, I think also as a player, the sooner the better. You don't want to wait till summer.
Mm-hmm.
If you want consistency from your team and to get methodology systems in as quickly as possible, why wait until summer? Get them in as quickly as possible so your players can adapt. So credit
Jen,
to
we're gonna have to get you on the phone with Mark Parsons, the GM at Angel City, because he's not coming till June 1.
Yeah.
So this coaching change isn't actually going to take into effect until June 1. So he'll complete his German season first and then transition to Los Angeles. But the news is out there as the players can kind of have this understanding. And really, Sam Lady has known that throughout this entire first 5 weeks of the season that he is just the interim. They wanted to go with a European coach, but I imagine that Sam Lady will stay on because he has done such a great job with Angel City. They're fourth in the standings. They're undefeated. They're higher than they've ever been, right? Like they're doing all the right things right now. even without a permanent head coach. Angel City sporting director Mark Parsons did say in a statement that, quote, Alex fits this profile at every measure. So he is going to come over from Bayern Munich, who are currently positioned to win a third straight league title. Alexander Straus is a 49-year-old Norwegian manager, and he's coming to the NWSL for the first time. All right, guys, a little breaking news to start our NWSL segment, but now we get to dive into it. NWSL Week 5 action. We have 3 matches Friday, 4 matches on Saturday. Mark your calendars, set your alarms, because Saturday night, A3 After Dark is happening. Join us following KC Houston to go live on YouTube for a full recap. But there are 3 teams that we have to talk about from the jump. 3 teams that are undefeated through 4 matches. Orlando Pride and Kansas City, 4 straight wins. They're tied at the top on 12 points. And then Angel City, 2 draws and 2 wins. They sit in 4th place. Now, heading into this weekend, the question is, who's on the hottest streak? Who's on the hottest seat to lose their undefeated streak? Because we have a Challenge Cup rematch, NWSL Championship rematch with Orlando and Washington. Kansas City take on Houston, and Angel City takes on Gotham. Darian, who could potentially fall this weekend? Which giant?
Kansas City's fine. Don't worry about Kansas City. Sorry, Houston. It ain't happening. Orlando and Washington Spirit is obviously the one that we all have our eyes on. The NWSL Championship rematch, the Challenge Cup rematch. We saw Lacey Santos score that beautiful free kick, her first of the season. And this is the game where, okay, let's see, can Orlando really repeat last year? I think this is the ultimate test to see if Orlando has that in them. I think that they do. I do think the Challenge Cup felt like a preseason match, warming up into the season. And now we've seen Orlando really find their groove, especially defensively. And Anna Morehouse is doing a really good job holding them down. But the game that's up to lose for one of the teams is Angel City to me. That is the ultimate game where I'm wondering, how do you stop Esther, Gabby Portillo, Ella Stevens, Midge Purse, Jess Silva, Jace? I don't know if Angel City has everything in their defense to lock all those players down.
I would argue that Gotham doesn't have the defense to lock down Angel City. When you look at Angel City's front line, they have Alyssa Thompson, Claire Emsley, that are just providing so much vertical threat. Emsley cuts inside. And my concern is Gotham's back line. Mandy Freeman against Alyssa Thompson, the concern. And yes, Gotham is coming off of a win and they're hot. They do have a lot of attacking power, Darian, but they played North Carolina, a winless team. They weren't going up against the big dogs.
This is true, but I think Gotham's got it in the bag.
I think if you were to look at, the teams alone, right? Orlando, KC, Angel City, you automatically go to Angel City, right? In terms of lacks of depth. But I think when you're looking at that head-to-head Pride against Spirit, like, that's just, if you're looking at Orlando potentially, losing at some point, is going to be against another top team, and Spirit have all the firepower to kind of do that. So I might be a little bit contradictory and go maybe Orlando Pride to get their first sort of drop points, but of course I'm leaning more towards Angel City, just in terms of depth. I don't think they have as much depth as KC Pride to really go out and see 3 points against Gotham. But you're right, man. The firepower for Angel City, Claire Emsley, I know her so much from Scotland and what she can do, and she's gone on strength to strength game after game this season. So big game for everyone.
It's safe to say Kansas City is fine. Sorry, Houston, right?
I'm not worried.
I'm not worried about Kansas City either. They just know how to score goals. They've only conceded 1 this year. Their defense has done a great job. They're going to be fine. Orlando and Washington, Jen, I'm with you on this one, because it is going to be a vastly different game than we saw in the Challenge Cup, because Trinity Rodman is now available. She didn't play in the Challenge Cup. Ashley Hatch is feeling herself, constantly finding goals, finding good spaces, picking apart defenses in very different ways. And then defensively, Washington Spirit has Rebecca Bernal, who has now played 4 weeks. She has been such a tremendous defender. That is going to be the Rebecca Bernal against Barbara Banda 1v1 matchup that I am watching all game. And if Bernal can shut down Barbara Banda and eliminate her touches on the ball, it could be a game where Washington takes points off Orlando.
Y'all, this is no offense to Bernal. No one's shutting down Barbara Banda. I'm sorry. No one is shutting Barbara Banda down. I think Orlando has too many ways that they can hurt the Washington Spirit back line that has been, yes, improved with Bernal. Lisa, although you didn't include Bernal on your defensive team of the week last week, now we're giving her a shout. That's okay.
Sunday night recaps are mind-bending, okay? They're
justice for Bernal. I'm just saying. But I don't think you can shut down Barbara Banda. Yes, that's a great addition to the back line, whether they're playing the mock 3-back, 5-back, whatever. It doesn't fully work. Banda is just too effective going forward, whether it's to her feet, whether it's over the top. They cannot catch her. That's been proven over and over again against the Spirit. And now Orlando really have found their stride in the season. I don't think Spirit can do that, although they have Trinity Rodman back. And yes, Hatchie's firing on all cylinders. Maybe they'll get one, but I don't think they'll get the win.
I'm not saying that Washington's going to come out and beat Orlando 3-0.
What do you mean, Lisa? You're Washington's number one stan.
Washington is going to take points off Orlando. This could be a draw, or this could be a very narrow win for Washington. That's what I'm saying for this.
So that was my point, because it's two powerhouses in the NWSL. Can they take points off each other and, reduce Orlando just pulling away from the rest of the league? That was because I think it's two awesome teams coming head to head. So much pace on either side. Rodman one end, Banda the other end. What a game it's going to be.
Darian, are you on the recap Saturday night with me?
Of course.
Okay, so handshake.
If it's late night, yes.
If it's late night, we're there.
I'm
on the other side of these undefeated teams are three teams that are coming off of their first wins of the season through 4 weeks. That's Portland, Gotham, and Chicago. So Portland's coming off 1-0 at Utah. Gotham, they defeated North Carolina, and Chicago defeated Bay. So heading into this weekend, Jen, what is it going to take for one of these teams to win again?
So I think I'm going to pinpoint Chicago on this one. I was at the Bay game, and I thought they were really impressive. I thought Ludmilla was awesome. Obviously got the brace against Bay, so to get 2 goals. And I think I'll say it again, I think Chicago had a really tough start to this season, right? Playing against top teams. And I think getting 3 points at Bay is a tough place to go. And I think in terms of confidence and building momentum, I think going to Utah is another big game for them. But I think they can continue this run and consistency. And they impressed me with the kind of football they were playing and how clinical they were in front of goal. Bay dominated possession, but if you gave them a couple of chances, they were in on goal and taking advantage of that. But I think they'll have more of the ball against Utah, hopefully be able to exploit them in ways they did against Bay. And for them, it's going to be huge confidence-wise going on to continue this role, get another 3 points. I think will be massive for them. So I think Chicago's my pinpoint. They can go and do it.
Yeah, Chicago is a really good shout, because when you look at Utah too, they are without Mina Tanaka, who pulls all the strings in their midfield and sets them up. Plus, the defensive efforts for Chicago are coming together, because they have Maitani that they've moved higher up into the midfield, and Recaro in that center back role with Sam Staub, who's pushing 90 minutes, right? She's close to getting that. With Staub, Recaro, and Nair as your anchor defensive three as center backs and a goalie, it's hard to break them down. And I think Utah has struggled with creativity in their final end and getting good chances on goal. Plus the rhythm from Ludmila, Julia Grasso, Ali Schlegel, and Jamise Joseph is hitting a good stride. Honestly, for Chicago to go against Bay and now to go against Utah back to back, they're similar opposition for Chicago, and that's only going to bode well for what the Stars want to do and how they want to win. I think Chicago can do it and pick up points again this weekend.
Yeah, I think your spot. I think what was so interesting about watching them at the weekend was they kind of set up in this almost like a 4-2-4 formation. So it was quite a high pressing game, and that sounds like they'd be quite vulnerable centrally, but I genuinely didn't think Bay most positive plays were through Kudananji out wide and beyond, like we've seen so many times, but they actually did well to reduce Bay to not many chances. And if you're talking about Tanaka missing out this game and not being that creative role in the center of the pitch, that's a huge loss for Utah. So I think if Chicago can perform like that, not let anything central again, that's huge for them.
When you look at it, whether it's Seattle against Portland, Angel City against Gotham, for Gotham and Portland, is there vulnerability from either of those sides?
Portland for sure. I already gave my spiel on how I think Gotham's gonna beat Angel City. But for Portland, I'm not convinced off of last week. Yes, they got a goal, they got the win, sure. I still don't think we've seen enough from them where I'm convinced that they've hit their stride in the season and they're getting the best out of the players that they have enough attacking power. I think the key is Hina Sugita, of course, to get up in the attack, to orchestrate, pull the strings, set the tempo for this team. Raylan Turner has to put her chances away, but it's not enough for me. And Seattle gets Lynn Williams, damn, that's $5. Gets Lynn Biondolo back on the team. She's going to be playing more than 25, 30 minutes this match, I would assume. I don't know how you stop them. And I want to see how Seattle's going to start with Haidama and Biondolo up top and how they're going to start to build off of that. And I don't know if Portland can handle all of that firepower. That's a lot.
Claudia Dickey has been very impressive defensively for Seattle too, in goal for the Reign, because they're coming off of this 1-0 loss, Seattle to Orlando. And it was a great night for Anna Morehouse in goals. Seattle had chances. They had 13 shots, 5 on target. It was a big night in goal for Morehouse to secure a shutout and a win. Seattle is now primed, right? Going off of that big game against Orlando to take on Portland. And this is the Cascadia rivalry. This is it. And despite when you look at Seattle and Portland right now and where they are in the standings, they're 6th and 7th. It is a Friday night game. It is the Cascadia rivalry. Darian, you've played in this, but at this point in the season, with sitting in 6th and 7th places, these aren't the powerhouse Seattle and Portland teams we're used to. Does the rivalry still hold as much weight as it once did?
It doesn't hold the same weight it once did. A big part of that to me, Jess Fishlock is still there. Yes, Lou Barnes is still there, but a Megan Rapinoe, like the kind of shit talking that went on before the game back in the day gave the Cascadia rivalry what it was. And those teams were at the top of the game. They were 1, 2, and 3 on the table always. These are two teams that now I think are still trying to figure out what they are, how they're going to score goals, how are they going to be effective, the longevity of the season, and what does that look like? Yes, there's still that rivalry there because you're so close and there's the history behind it. It doesn't have the same oomph that it used to have. I think it can get back there at some point, but to me, it's not the same what it used to be.
No way. I have to go the other way on that. Like, as a coming from someone, right, who the Arsenal-Tottenham derby, right? Arsenal against Tottenham was huge on the men's side, but on the women's side, okay, Tottenham were at the lower side of the table, shall we say, so it might have not seemed like as big as a rivalry, but in the dressing room, I have no doubt that Cascade, it's still going to be a big rivalry for the players who know the history of the clubs, and especially for players like exactly what you were saying, Darian, with like Jess Fishlock still there. She knows exactly, it might not feel like a big rivalry from like an outsider's perspective, but in-house, I have no doubt whatsoever that they're bigging it up from like a, geographically close rivalry. It's still massive. I don't know. That's coming from a player that's been in sort of derbies, and the height of the games, regardless of where you are in the ladder, still felt massive to me. And kind of, I hope it is to them. Even if, the teams aren't as big powerhouses as they once were, I still think in-house is massive.
Laura Harvey is educating them too, Darian, right? That the young players that maybe don't know how much this rivalry means, she's giving them an educational lesson and saying, this is the history of it. This is why we need to crush Portland. And it's people like that also help keep the rivalry alive from within the club.
I agree. I agree. And we've had Laura Harvey on the show, and she's talked about, and we've interviewed her, and she's talked about how, yes, I'm giving all of the stats in the background, and we're having Jess Fishlock talk to everybody. It's just not the same of what it used to be. And shout out to Sandra. She's in the chat saying, I want some new energy for the Cascadia rivalry. And I think that's what it needs, because we've had such this change of guard with the players. Yes, there's still some there, but it's it's just different than what it used to be. Portland is completely different than what they used to be. Seattle as well. So I think it needs a refresh. It's just, it doesn't hit the same as, say, 2017, 2018 Cascadia rivalry.
Well, that was the peak of it. Nothing will ever come back to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We just need something else.
We need something a little spicy. I think we could get it from the Seattle side. I'm actually worried about Portland's side in terms of the rivalry and what's happening there, because they just lost so many of their veterans in this past offseason, whether it's retirement to Becky Sauerbrunn or Christine Sinclair, but even in the back line with Megan Klingenberg, Kelly Hubley, those are people that bring a fire to the rivalry and to this Cascadia match that are no longer there. And I'm not sure if Olivia Moultrie is the player that's going to say, hey, this is the history of it. This is what's going to go down. Concerned about it. It might not happen for them. But we do get a Cascadia rivalry on Friday night, a fun game. But we also have a very interesting matchup on Paramount Plus Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Racing Louisville taking on San Diego Wave. And these teams right now are both on 4 points with a win, a draw, and 2 losses each. San Diego coming off a 2-0 loss to Kansas City, and Louisville coming off a 2-0 loss to Washington. As it currently stands, both Louisville and San Diego are below the playoff line. Wave at 9th, Louisville at 11th. So they're considered, as of 4 weeks in, bubble playoff teams. Now, Louisville, San Diego, don't come at me. A lot can change. But when we think long-term, Darian, who is the better chance of making playoffs?
How do I do it? What was Jaden Strauss celebration? The Wave. Obviously, San Diego Wave has a far better chance than Louisville, in my opinion, of making playoffs. San Diego, to me, is a sleeper team right now. Watching the way they play under Jonas Eidevall, the players that they've brought in, has been so fun. They play this very European style, the way they're breaking teams down, this beautiful combination play. They're getting the best out of Savannah McCaskill, finally. She looks like she's come back alive. You have Adriana Leon, who's effective. Oju Woke, who's that new number 9 coming in and looks like she's just been in this league for 2 or 3 years. Yes. I think Jonas Eidevall's gotten the best out of this team, and there's still so much to build on. Louisville, oh man, poor Louisville, you guys. It's always kind of predictable how they're gonna be in the season. It's draws. It's not clear what they're really trying to do, and it's relying on Savannah DeMello, really. And without that, I don't know what to say about Louisville other than they're trying, but it's not enough for me. So San Diego's the clear one for me that could make playoffs.
Calling Louisville predictable is so true. They finished 9th. They finished 9th every single year.
Every year.
WSL.
Every year.
How frustrating as a player. It's like just one more point or two, or like one more win, one more draw. It's just the smallest of margins for Louisville that separates them. And San Diego this year feels like they have the keys to close a lot of those margins that Louisville is still grappling with and struggling to find. Plus, I think at San Diego, they are a team that Jonas Eidevall will figure out this league. I mean, not that he hasn't already, but by the time San Diego plays teams for a second time in their repeats towards the second half of the season, it's game over. It is game over for everyone. He's going to have it figured out. He's going to have a game plan in place to stop the opposition and to set up his team for success. I think that this could pose some questions for San Diego going to Louisville. Louisville could sit back at times and force San Diego to play. But in the long run, towards the end of the season, San Diego is going to separate themselves from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was always going to be so interesting with Eidevall coming into this league, obviously having worked under him for a few years and how impressive he was. When he got the job at Wave, I was thinking he's going to crush it. Just in terms of his style and the way I think he could take the San Diego Wave team to the next level in terms of sustained attacks, when to go forward and when to hold the ball and be patient, which I think is the perfect blend between his style and Wave and the players he has. I think you're right. I think Leon coming in, she's been so effective from quite an early point. But I think, yeah, we're talking about bubble teams, I'm still very, very confident that Wave will be much more efficient with their games going forward than maybe Louisville in terms of picking up points.
Wave hit the road. They head to Kentucky to take on Louisville. That's 3 p.m. Saturday, and you can watch it on Paramount Plus. That's our NWSL preview for everyone heading into week 5. As a reminder, the games are only on Friday and Saturday. So A3 After Dark recap is coming at you live 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, immediately following KC Houston right here on YouTube. So that'll be 9:30, 9:45 p.m. start time. Darian will be there. I'll be there. We'll recap it all. We'll get to chat about it. Guys, thanks for hanging with us, Jen and Darian. We're saying so long to Golazo Network. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. We hope you enjoyed A3. If you're with us on YouTube or listening as a pod, guys, you get A3 extra time. Mailbag segment coming up next. See you in a second. Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. It's A3 extra time, stoppage time, whatever you want to call it. I keep messing it up every time, but we are answering your questions. It's an A3 mailbag segment for you on YouTube and listening as a pod. Guys, thanks for hanging with us. We love you so much that we're doing this just for you. Let's get into it. You guys give us all the questions. Keep them coming. You can email us attackingthirder with an ER at gmail.com. Hit us up on socials at attackingthird and ask us all your wonderful questions. Question number 1 comes at us from Frosty Cloud YT. This question says, what team do you think has been the most surprising this season in the NWSL? Meaning you had low expectations, but the team has risen to the challenge. Jen, I'm going to throw this one at you first.
Right, me. Okay. You know what? We were just talking about the Wave, and I think they had a struggle season last year. I will be honest. I think with the players they had, it just felt like it wasn't quite clicking. They weren't quite connecting. I feel like they always had potential, but could never go to that next level. And for me, they might not have had the best results so far, but I feel like their performances are much, much better. So for me, from an outsider looking in now, based on performances, I feel like they've exceeded my expectations. And I'm going to big him up again, but Jonas Eidevall coming in, I do genuinely think he's been the missing piece for this team, and players that he's brought in this season that can take them to that next level, that next stage. Playoffs for sure. That has to happen for the Wave. I think they've always been teetering on that level of success and had the players just not quite have been able to get it. For me, they've exceeded my expectations based on performances this year so far.
I second that. I'm going to stick over on the West Coast, and I'm going to go with Angel City. After last year, turnover, players not seeming to get the best out of themselves on the pitch. This year, I think they surprised everybody, especially with knowing Sam Lady's an interim coach. This just looks like a fun team to play for. It looks like they're enjoying themselves. Let the kids play, as Sandra would say it. They just look like it's a fun team that you want to play at, that's building something really, really great moving forward. So that's the team that I think I'm most surprised about, that they came out the way that they did this season.
I wrote down San Diego and Angel City for all of the reasons you both just said. Specifically with Angel City, though, knowing you have an interim head coach, the coach and the team could take that in 2 very different directions, right? They could not have buy-in. They could not understand what's going to happen and how the change is going to come, when it's going to come. And that can be really difficult for both parties. And I think Sam Lady and the Angel City team as a whole have bought in and have said, okay, we are going to work every single week. And when the change comes, now that we know it is coming, Alex Straus coming over from Bayern Munich, we're going to do what we can do to pick up points. I think Alyssa Thompson's playing really free. Their back line has done a good job, and the rookies for Angel City have been put in a really good position, not knowing what was maybe going to come of this Angel City side, but now that they're undefeated through 4 weeks, guys, and potential to do it again this upcoming weekend, taking on Gotham. All right, question number 2 coming from JJ Hutch. What's harder, playing in the rain, playing with sun in your eyes, or playing on a really windy day? I love this question. Takes us right back to the field. I would say playing in the rain is terrible. I don't
No.
like it. I
I
don't
love
like
playing
it.
in the rain.
Yes, Darian, big up the rain.
Yeah, love the rain. Hate the wind. Hate the wind. It's so unpredictable. Yeah, you can't put the ball in the air. It's unpredictable. You don't know where the hell it's going to land, what the spin's going to change. It can affect your shot, it affects your pass even on the ground. It's not enjoyable. At least with rain, you know the ball's going to skip and you know everybody's suffering equally. It makes it more of a grind in the game, but it's fun. And as a forward, shoot because it's going to deflect, it's going to skip, it's going to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Jen is a defender. I know that's probably not the same on the defensive side, but
no, I was going to say, Lisa, you definitely weren't a slide tackling center back then.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I love the rain. Also, I grew up in Scotland, guys. Come on, it rained pretty much 99% of the time. So if I didn't say the rain, I would have some Scottish people coming for me in the comments. But the sun, man, like when I see GKs wearing the cap, I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I would do that. And also, I'll never forget, California, that midday sun when it's low, and as a center back, any long ball that's played, that is so hard. So when you see center backs, spinning around and doing cartwheels, trying to follow the ball midair, that's tough. I'd play in the rain all day. Also hate the wind, Darian. I'm spot on with you on that one. Hated the wind. It was my least favorite. Rain, most favorite.
Guys, but your hair. I hated the way my hair was after a game in the rain. I'm being honest right now. This is what I
love your honesty, but straight in the shower for me.
I don't think I ever thought about that.
Sanders asking us, how about the snow? What about the snow?
Oh, I grew up in Utah. Hate the snow.
Yeah.
Hate it.
I didn't mind the snow.
Can't feel my feet. I don't like it. Nope.
I didn't mind the snow because then, the sort of orange footballs came out, the yellow footballs came out. It kind of became a bit more fun. Any excuse to wear skins and gloves. I like the snow.
Yeah, I never minded the snow. Okay, question number 3 coming at us from Paige Mia says, thoughts on a potential NWSL champion versus WSL champion exhibition match. Ooh, Darian, this is fun.
We're manifesting it. Everybody put your hands out. We're manifesting this to happen. Come on, WSL champ versus NWSL champ. I love it. That needs to happen. There needs to be way more crossover where WSL European teams are playing NWSL teams, vice versa. So, hey, I'm all for that. I hope we see that this year, next year. It needs to happen more besides just the friendlies that we see in the WSL preseason.
For sure. I second that. I think it's so hard. Like, everyone has this conversation of comparing the leagues, and it's so hard because we never really play against each other. Or if we do, it's exactly what you said. It's friendlies. Someone's in preseason, someone's in their mid-season flow. It's really difficult to get that head to head. But I would love to see it. I think, it's always seeing the stats the other day, having sort of NWSL 8 teams in the top 20, I think it was, and only 4 WSL. That comparison was a really interesting one. I'd love to know what's looked at stat-wise for that, but I would love to see that, and I would be there watching, lapping up.
Oh, yeah. A3 road trip?
Hands down.
We should just organize it. Let's do that.
Right?
I mean, let's do it. Producer Mark, thank you. Please and thank you. We appreciate it.
Start a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Question number 4 coming at us from Angela Faso. This one is specifically for Jen and Darian. I'm going to Jen first because her name is listed first. What was the biggest challenge you faced in becoming a professional, and how did you overcome it?
Mine's a pretty straightforward answer, I'd say. Purely on opportunity, right? I came into a game where from age 12, 13, 14, I had to play with boys. There was no such thing as all girls football. So it kind of progressed as the older I got. So my challenge first and foremost was literally finding all women's teams. I was playing senior football age 16, 17. So that was the hardest thing. So I kind of had to take any opportunity I got, but I loved the game. Thank God I'd stayed in it. It's been the best job on the entire planet. And now I get to talk about it. So life's good.
Oh, I love that. Mine was probably, my pathway to pro was interesting because my senior of college, I broke my leg. So I was out. It was a 1.5 year recovery. So I'd never had a serious injury my entire life. And then getting drafted and going away from a university that had everything set up for me possible, more professional than the professional team that I went to, which was the Courage at the time, was a shock. And to learn how to take care of myself, do actual rehab, warm myself up, activate before going and doing anything. Like I didn't have to do that in college. It's the gift of being young. But that was a really big adjustment. But I had players like friends of our show, J-Mac, McCall, that actually really, truly showed me how to be a pro and take care of myself, rest properly, eat better. There's so much stuff that goes into being a pro where you have to be much more selfish and conscious of taking care of yourself and your time that I did not have at all in college. So that was, I think, the biggest adjustment for me was just relearning my body and how to take care of myself at a completely different level.
Darian, you and I have talked about that, the adjustment going from college to pro and how many changes there are. And that at times, you've even said this, you wish there was like a little boot camp for players in their first year professionally of just like how to do things, whether it's on the mental side or on the like physical side, because you can't always just rely on the upper or like the more veteran players. I mean, you're very lucky that you've had so many great veterans to play with to kind of show you the way and give you some advice on what to do, whether it's mentally or physically in those situations.
100%.
Can I ask you guys, what were the biggest differences then going from college to pro? Because I think for rookies listening, it would be so interesting to see what the hardest things for you were.
Well, when I went pro 2017, the NWSL was a little rough and tough back in the day. We didn't have Kansas City. We didn't have our own stadiums, anything like that. But I think the biggest thing for me was really just how to – it's a little bit more isolating than in college where you're with your friends all the time. You're immediately friends. That's your friend group. You're in class together. That's your social kind of group family. And pro, everybody has their own lives. It's a little bit more isolating. It's interesting socially, mentally. That does a lot. It's a big change up from going from college, and then figuring out like this is a job. This is no longer I'm at school and there's all this other opportunity. No, you're here for a job. This is serious. The playing time is minimal. You're not always given feedback. You're not always given reasons as to maybe why you're playing, why you're not, where you're going, X, Y, Z. So that part is a really big adjustment, and like to prepare yourself, know that you're going into an environment where it's highly competitive. But also I think a big thing for me that I look back on is like, I wish I enjoyed my rookie season a lot more, because who the hell gets to say that they go kick a ball professionally and that's your job? Like go enjoy the moment. But yeah, just know that it's going to be even more competitive and you really have to take care of yourself. Like you're thrown into this world, and take example of those players around you and apply it to yourself as quickly as possible to acclimate.
I love story time with you guys. It's so fun. It is a big difference and adjustment, and we've talked to rookies about it, but Dee, I think good advice and good kind of highlighting on what some of the biggest differences are and struggles for rookies. And now we're seeing a little bit more in the NWSL players that have experiences like Jen had that are just coming straight out of high school and not going to college. And that's a big jump as well. It's very different, but they're also consciously making that decision to do that when they're 17, 18, but it's still a big jump for a lot of players. And there's always different things for different experiences, different players. And it also depends a lot about what club you're at, where you're going and what environment you're thrown into. Guys, this was a blast. That's it. Those are all our questions. Thanks for asking us questions, fam. If you want your question answered in the A3 Mailbag, hit us up at Attacking Third across social media, Attacking Thirder, ER at the end of that, at gmail.com. Send those questions to Mark. He'll write them all down. We'll get them. And you can ask specifically to Jen, to Darian, to McCall, Jess, anyone that we have on the show, and get their specific take on something. This was so fun, guys. We've got UEFA Women's Champions League semifinals this weekend, NWSL Week 5 action. And don't forget, we'll be live Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern to recap all of the NWSL weekend. Thanks for hanging with us. Like this video and subscribe, and we'll see you on Saturday. For Darian, Jen, and Mark, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.